The Constitutional Court has ruled that it is illegal for parents to spank their children at home. This comes after the High Court handed down a judgment in 2017 which effectively made it illegal for parents to smack their kids. An appeal brought by Freedom of Religion South Africa argued that the High Court ruling on spanking was unlawful and made criminals of well-meaning parents. The judgment arises from an appeal by a Muslim father who was found guilty of assault because he severely beat his 13-year-old son in a manner that exceeded the bounds of reasonable chastisement. Freedom of Religion argues that there is a clear distinction between violence or abuse and mild physical correction. Chief Justice Mogoeng says children may still be effectively disciplined without resorting to moderate and reasonable chastisement.
We conclude that the common law defense is inconsistent with, among others, the provisions of sections 10 and 12 of the Constitution and is therefore invalid. This was especially so because children may still be effectively disciplined without resorting to moderate and reasonable chastisement, which includes the rod. There is therefore a less restrictive means envisaged by Section 36 of the Constitution available to achieve discipline. In the result, the decision of the High Court is upheld and the following order is made. 1. Freedom of Religion South Africa is granted leave to intervene. 2. The appeal is dismissed. 3. It is declared that the common law defense of reasonable and moderate parental chastisement is inconsistent with the provisions of sections 10 and 12 1C of the Constitution. And 4. There will be no order as to costs.
This Constitutional Court ruling today basically paves the way now for new laws to be created which would essentially make spanking illegal. Our reporter Linda Mnisi joins us now live from the Constitutional Court. That is where this ruling has just been delivered. Linda, essentially, as I put it, I mean, this literally means now there needs to be new laws that are put in place that would essentially make spanking children illegal.
Absolutely, Thabo. As you might have heard there, that the Chief Justice Mogoeng handing down that judgment, saying that no amount of violence can really justify, chastisement. It means that parents will now be resorting to that form of law to defend themselves, but which is something that we also heard from the organizations that came to support children here in court today. We heard from the Children's Institute who said that this means that if that would be the case, then it means that children have very little legal recourse in terms of really defending themselves, because whether it's religious or it's in line with the law, how do you then mete out if chastisement is reasonable and is within the bounds? Also taking into consideration the context of the background to the story, really, that father beating up his 13-year-old. Freedom of Religion South Africa, really, they also, clearly indicating that there could be religious reasons that, that demonstrate the levels of really punishment that is meted against children. But the court says that is in fact unconstitutional and it violates a variety of rights for children.
So then take us back a little bit, Linda. This, of course, comes after a High Court ruling and the Freedom of Religion South Africa then taking this matter to the High Court, appealing that ruling of the High Court.
Yes, Thabo, it comes as a result of the father who really wanted the conviction to be overturned. You would remember that he also did not only assault his son for watching pornographic material, but he also assaulted his wife, which led to a conviction of common assault. Now, Freedom of Religion, really, they're taking the case, and the court also questions whether Freedom of Religion can, as a friend of the court, take the matter in terms of the standing the case, take up the matter, because it says it's acting in the interest of the public. But then that also comes under the spotlight, because really that decision was turned down by the High Court, which then resulted in freedom of religion really coming back to the Constitutional Court to have that decision overturned. But we've since seen that the Constitutional Court seems to agree with that decision, and then which then means it upholds and opens now room for new laws to be implemented.
Of course, Freedom for Religion, Linda, was arguing reasonable chastisement. Now, this is a term that has been deemed very difficult to interpret. One person's tough love could be another's merciless beating. So what did the judge say about this understanding of reasonable chastisement?
Well, Thabo, what came to light here in court is really measuring moderate and reasonable chastisement. How do you moderate, or how do you measure reasonable chastisement, saying that any form of violence really result to assault, which then means that the child does have recourse in terms of the law and laying criminal charges against their own parent. I mean, it's also something that we heard from the Children's Institute, saying that on its own does not only have implications on the lives of the children, but also in society in general. You'll remember that there's been recently quite a number of cases of violence that have come out of South Africa, and that, they say, is also a result, or rather a contributing factor to the rise of the scourge of abuse in the country.
Linda, thank you so much for that reporting. That's Linda Mnisi outside the Constitutional Court, where that judgment was delivered earlier on today.